Hey everybody, NanoCon just ended last week, the largest gathering of non-religious people in the state of Tennessee. At the end of this week is BajaCon up in Sarnia, Ontario, Canada, and they are bringing in an absolutely stellar lineup of speakers and presenters. And then in 2 weeks, we will be down in Austin, Texas for the ACA's annual Bat Cruise. So there are some absolutely awesome opportunities to connect with your people happening all over, and you gotta check these out. If you think a growing, more connected secular community is a bad thing, you're wrong. But hey, call us anyway, because the show's starting right now. That's right, everybody. Today is August 3rd, 2025. I'm your host, Secular Rarity, and joining me today is the always wonderful Jim Barrows. What's up, brother?
Not much. Just kind of enjoying the warm, humid weather here in southern swastika land.
Right. Has it been gross where you are? It has been overly hot and uncomfortable here. So.
Yeah, it is definitely hot and humid.
Okay.
Look forward to days that it rains when it drops out. The heat doesn't bother me because I used to live in Phoenix, Arizona. So
that's freaking.
110, 115, not really a problem. I mean, that's hot. Don't get me wrong, but 90 degrees, it's 100% humidity or 95% humidity is just awful.
Yeah. Honestly, it is like that here so much, and it's like, I don't know. You look at I've got the little weather app thing, on my phone, of course, mm-hmm. Right? Which I've heard something. Right. I don't know if this is going to be the case, but like apparently, like the government data isn't going to be like free anymore or public. I don't know about that. It's just anyway. But this little weather app is like, it's like, oh yeah, it's like 92 degrees, in Nashville, and I'm like, oh no way. But then I look underneath it. And then it's like, right, but like the real feel like heat index is actually like 112. And I'm like, well, why tell me 90? Why tell me that if it's really,
right,
that much hot? Like, why not just say like it's 120 degrees outside, because that's what it feels like. So I don't know.
Well,
man.
Because, when you're in Phoenix and it's 115, the only way you were hot, once you come back inside, is to look at all the salt stains where you sweat it.
Sure,
because you don't get wet, right? You don't get that sweaty clamminess that you get when it's humid out, because your sweat's doing what it's supposed to do, and that the salt residue is a result of that. But you never get that here, and so. Yeah, you can say it's like being in 115 degree heat,
right.
But really it's not.
Right. Yeah.
It may put your body under the same stress level, but sweat wise, I mean, yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah, it is. So. It is. But, there are some good things about the South. We're not going to list them right now, but they are out there. What I am going to do is tell you that the Atheist Experience is a product of the Atheist Community of Austin, a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to the promotion of atheism, critical thinking, secular humanism, and the separation of religion and government. And I love that, man. I am a big fan of that. But while we've got some of these calls coming in, and we do have open lines, folks, so the number is right there on the screen. I know it is in the chats and the descriptions below. Give us a call if you've heard us say something in the past that's wrong. Jim and I do not believe in gods. We don't. We think they don't exist. We think there's never been good proof, whether that is scientific or philosophic. There's just no reason out there to be going to church on a regular basis, What else don't we believe in, Jim? I know we were talking about like
supernatural.
Yeah, like chakras.
Probably anything supernatural.
Yeah.
So ghosts, fairies, spirits, chakras, key powers, all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. So there's this so I love talking about this just because it's an interesting little fact. There's this like kind of what do you want to call it, like a ballet, I guess, that travels around the world and a lot of the United States called Shen Yun, and it's actually the performance arm of a religious cult called Falun Gong. And one of the things that Falun Gong believe, and they don't like that being out there, by the way, they're not super big fans of you talking about that. If you approach one of these people,
we should never talk about how they're part of religious cult, huh?
Right. That the specific play that they do is actually just propaganda for their religious cult. Yeah, they do not like that information being out, and they're not super fans of the fact that the Epoch Times, EPOCH, some people say Epic, I don't care how you pronounce it, but that is their media. That is their media arm. Yeah, they do not like that information being out there. Yeah. But anyway, it's the case. And one of the things that they can do apparently is they have the ability to control their ki, enough in their body that they can actually make like balls of energy and then shoot them at people apparently. But they're not allowed.
Isn't there a song something like Great Balls of Fire?
Oh my God. We start singing it, but we would get so struck so fast that we're just going to let you at home have fun with that one.
I don't know about you, SR, but if I start singing it, there is no algorithm out there that will tell
that will pick it up. Right. It will have no clue. So you're like, oh my God,
we're good.
Yeah, we don't know what this noise is, but it's something.
So goodness gracious, they shoot great balls of ki.
Yes, but they're not allowed to demonstrate it in front of non-believers. So. Right. See. Yeah. Smart. Yeah. That's what you do. Honestly, that's what you do. That makes
Don't demonstrate your powers in front of anybody who can debunk them.
Right.
That's always a good way to prove that you have powers. Yes.
Yeah. It's kind of like those like martial art guys, that are like somehow able to like defy the laws of physics, but then like the moment there's cameras around them, for some reason, none of it works.
Or they go toe to toe with a MMA fighter and they get knocked out in the first 10 seconds, or just can't block a thing.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's we're joking about this stuff, but it is serious, because if you're spending tens of thousands of dollars to go to a supposed martial arts expert, and they are actually making you more likely to get injured in an encounter like that out in public, like that is dangerous on every level. Not only is it fraud on the financial side of it, but just on the like the personal health side of it. Like, you're going to walk into a situation thinking you're freaking confident as hell, and somebody's just going to just kill you. I mean, that's what's going to happen, So yeah, we're making fun of this. We're joking. We're having a good time, but this stuff is serious. And again, if any of those things, you disagree with, if you think Jim and I are just completely wrong on all of this, and we really should be reading our astrology charts more, or I don't know, paying homage to the pagan gods, give us a call, because we do have open lines. So I am let's just go ahead and grab a call, man. Let's see
absolutely
what people want to talk about today. We've got Shock, I think I'm pronouncing that right. Shock, him up in New York, wants to talk about the commonality of religion and the concept of God. Well, we like to talk about the concept of God here, Shock. So you are on the Atheist Experience with Jim Barrows and Secular Rarity. What you got? Oh, you're coming in just a little bit funky right there.
Good afternoon.
There we go.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can now.
Yep, you're sounding a lot better. Whatever you did, if just smash your face up against that microphone. What you got for us?
Awesome. All right. Well, good to see you, Jim and SR. I've been watching your show for a very long time, and I grew up with Hinduism as a religion, and the first time that I kind of started to question my religion or the belief in God was back in 2018, when unfortunately we had a loss of just a conceived child, and so that kind of questioned me at things on why would God allow that, and why would that happen in my life. And so I've been kind of on the fence since then. But lately, I've been questioning a lot, reading through online and just understanding of the religion, to see there's a lot of commonality in the concept of God amongst the religion. Mm-hmm. You talk about Christianity and Judaism and Hinduism and and Islam and then all the religions, the roots of them, when they originated, they had no communication with each other. So I'm just trying to wrap.
Well, no, that's not necessarily true. I mean, you've got the Great Silk Road that traded from Europe all the way into China. You had trade all over the Eurasian continent. The Americas were a little bit more isolated with not a lot of trade. But you had trade down into Africa as well. So Africa, Europe, the Middle East, Russia. There's all and stories, get told and retold through trade. Information gets passed through trade. So I wouldn't say they were isolated from each other. I would say that the stories got passed on from trade, international trade, all the way across. So I forget when the Great Silk Road got started, but that's been around for a really, really long time.
Oh yeah.
It's not one trader going from one end to the other. It's a trader goes to a place, trades his stuff, and that stuff gets traded on. You had Vikings who had Chinese coins in some of their hoards that we've found, and some other stuff from China. We know that they didn't go to China, or at least we're relatively confident they didn't go to China. There may have been one or two. But yeah, so I wouldn't say they're isolated at all. I would say that anywhere along that big stretch of land we call Europe, the Middle East, and then it's super easy to get down into Africa at that point. So yeah, trade spread the stories.
Yeah, what do you think about that, Shock?
So yeah, so I mean, just again, that's a good thought for sure. Not something that I really thought of there through the trade, but the language barriers. I guess that first point of contact, so to speak, with the God. There's some commonalities there as well. And the other thing that I kind of just contact myself with, and just when I'm questioning, but again, I'm not sure. There's a part of fear, for sure, on if I question what could be the consequences that I would need to face beyond what I've already faced, 70 years ago, and that made me question my faith. But there's also back then there was a lot of goodwill around at that time, so people got what they deserved, so to speak. Is it fair to say that right now, with the way the whole world is, the way the things are going, there's a lot of bad and evil out there? And so
let me jump in. Let me jump in for a second, Shock. Hang on just a second for me, man. Let me jump in just real quick. Just because I feel like, broadly speaking, I kind of get where you're going, but I'm always really wary whenever we want to make those really broad statements about like a long time ago, like people were nicer or something. I'm not really sure that we have that data to begin with, right? I'm not positive we have a perfect accounting of the way that people were behaving, especially in a non-public manner, in a non-recorded manner. The further we go back in human history, the harder it is to find reliable information, right? But I will say, just kind of off the rip, just off the top of my head, I think the further we go back in human history, the more likely we're to find, as some people describe it, that brutish state of nature. I think as we have gotten closer and closer to today, we have developed a lot of different things, a lot of different safeguards, a lot of different checks and balances and all those good things that have made us a little bit more, I guess, amicable in the broad sense. If you think about it, there's probably like hundreds, if not thousands of people you see on a daily basis that you've never murdered. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good number, Shock. You're doing great. Most of us are in that camp, right? Real quick though, I just want to come back to the thing you were talking about earlier when it came to the commonalities that you see in these stories. I don't disagree that there's commonalities, but I think what is the common thread amongst them all is a lot simpler and a lot easier, which is it's all people telling stories. It's all humans that are coming up with these things. And because we're all people, we all come up with similar kinds of stories. But I know I shouted a bunch at you there, Shock. So what do you got for us?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a very analytical guy. I like to be to go by data and not be driven by emotions. And so when I say that, when I look back and see the stories, it's kind of similar to, you're sitting in Texas, I'm sitting in New York. You say, I saw a blue tiger, right? And I say, I saw a blue tiger in New York, and you say you saw a blue tiger in Texas, and you both are not talking to each other at all. There's no connection. Nothing. The likelihood of there being a blue tiger is highly likely, wouldn't you say?
Is it?
Compared to,
is it?
saying,
I mean, how do we?
But so again, you're saying there's no communication between New York and Texas. And I would say, again, you're missing the fact that people trade. You're missing the fact that people wander around. All this stuff that happens. It's really hard to find societies that are in isolation. Australia would definitely be one. Same with New Zealand, although they were in isolation together, you could say. Japan's a little bit isolated. The Americas, North and South, were definitely isolated from Europe, and so you see different things. But wherever you have trade, you're going to get stories to spread, and you just can't really ignore that. The other thing you can't ignore is that we're all human, and so there's certain things that we're going to want to have to at least feel like we have some sort of control over. War and pestilence and drought, weather, all these things we want to have control over. And so if you see similarities in gods, it's probably because fundamentally we're all still human and have been for, 10,000 years, 100,000 years, however long Homo sapiens have been around. And you can't discount any of that when you're looking at, oh, look, China has a god of war and the Romans have a god of war. War is a common thing. And if you want to win, you want some way to influence it. Coming up with a god is as good a way as any. Same thing with rain gods and fertility gods. And then you also have the storytelling happening along trade routes. So I would say it's very difficult to find societies that are isolated. And even when you do, if you look at their gods and being the same, I don't think they really are. Australia and Japan, I think, are more spirit. Same with at least the Northern American Indian tribes, I think, are more spirit-oriented than they are God-oriented. But they all control the same types of things because we're human beings and we want to have more control over our lives than we think we do for that kind of stuff. So when you say that two societies are isolated, they have the same gods, okay, you need to go a little bit farther than that. You need to figure out how they develop those things and then look at that. But even so, even if two societies are isolated and they come up with the same God, you haven't proven that God actually exists. And that's the key thing, is you then need to go that extra step and go, okay, so why do these two different societies propose the same God? And are they actually the same God? Even if we assume that your proposition is true, that two isolated peoples came up with the same thing, you then need to go prove that it exists. You can't say, well, they came up with the same thing, therefore it exists. That doesn't make any sense. That's just basically an argument from popularity. Mm-hmm. And then the question with any question of an argument from popularity is, how many people do I need to get to believe that I have $1 million in the bank for that to be true?
What do you think, Shock?
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I got some thinking to do there for sure. That makes sense. I was just thinking isolated from, in a way that it can be a coincidence with everyone having a concept of God and there being a lot of similarities there. But what you just said there, Jim, it makes sense. I gotta put more thought into it. But at the same time, I kind of feel a little bit. I wouldn't say fear or scared, but I feel like a little bit of a hesitancy in doing so.
Sure.
To mainly, understand that this belief in God could have consequences, but the belief in God could not have any negative consequences. There's always positive to have.
Hang on right there. Hang on right there, Shock. Hang on right there. I know we've got some more cool stuff probably, but hang on right there. Because I think that's a really, really good thing, So that is often termed as something called Pascal's wager. This guy, really, really smart mathematician, by the way, super, super influential in a lot of things. But he sat down one day and he did out this whole super cool math problem, put some logic to it, was like, hey, look, believing in God, honestly, at the end of the day, like, if you're wrong, no big deal. Like, but I mean, you got to be right. Because if you aren't, here's the thing. Look, the way that he runs that equation is incorrect because he's not calculating all of the other things that come into play. So for instance, sure, he's not calculating all the different types of gods and all the different types of heavens and hells, but he's also not calculating all of the things that you as a believer are giving up or purposefully doing when you wouldn't do so if you didn't believe in that. For instance, a grandmother who's 87 years old, right, with barely any money in her bank account, only gives all of that money away to a church and goes destitute and broke and homeless because she believes in that God. Now, you can't say that, hey, if you just believe in the God, like, you're not risking anything. Yes, you are. You are absolutely not only giving up on things, right? There are many, many people who have lived their whole lives as believers and on their deathbeds stop believing and turn around and go, damn, I would have done so many things differently if I didn't believe in this God. So sure, I guess technically, if it's real, there's like this heaven thing. Sure, that's a big nice cake and a present with a bow on it. But you are risking things. You are losing things. You are giving things up and potentially putting yourself at risk of extreme harm simply by believing in the God. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, my just origin of my questioning itself came from just having seen an unborn, right? Just not having a chance at life itself made me question on, okay, there could be things that I might have done, my wife might have done, but, what did that unborn child do to not get through if there was a God, right? And so that kind of made me question that as a binary point on if there is a God, then, and he's all powerful and all knowing, why would he let something like this happen? He or she, sorry, I'm not trying to.
No, you're good. You're good. We understand where you're coming from.
He or she would let that happen.
Yeah.
And if there is no God, then it's just science. It's just, it happened, right? The things that didn't work out and, just happened. So which is a little bit more comforting, I must say, versus saying there is a God, but then why did the God let that happen? So, but I'm kind of stuck in between those two, right? And trying to, kind of find a safe pathway to the acceptance of there not being a God, right? And moving on.
I mean, you just look at Occam's razor. What has done more to increase or to decrease the pregnancy risks? Certainly not religion, right? But science has. Science has reduced the risk. Have they reduced the risk to zero? No, they haven't. Is that even possible? We don't know. But, 100 years ago, it was very different. 200 years ago, the farther back in time you go, the pregnancy risk goes up. That's why people had large families, was so that at least one child would survive to carry on the family name. And so we can look at infant mortality rates, we can look at human lifespan, we can look at all this stuff and go, it wasn't religion, because we've had a religion for 2,000 years, but it was definitely science. When science gets better every year, but it still has not created a zero risk world when it comes to our health. So, you look at it that way. Science has done more. It's not perfect, hasn't done everything. and tomorrow they're going to learn something new, and it'll make our lives better. And that'll happen. I won't say every day, but at least once a month, something will come along to help out with it, in understanding medicine. And the biggest opponent to science research right now is religion, hands down. Doesn't matter which religion you are. If the gods exist, then you should be praying to the gods for healing, and that doesn't work. So where are you, right? I mean, it just makes more sense to go, yeah, I mean, bad things happen to good people because the world is governed somewhat semi-randomly, but because there is no God directing it. You didn't do anything. Your wife didn't do anything. That's just one of those things that happens. And having gods around makes it worse, not better. Makes it harder to understand, not easier. And makes it less likely that, if you decide to try again, that the same thing will happen, because the science will get better, we'll understand more.
What do you think, Shock?
Yeah, and then in a way that kind of debunks my earlier statement that, because, overall the goodwill and the morality in humans, we have seen just with the modernization of things and the more communications amongst humans across, there's and of course economical turmoil has driven people a little bit away from their core morality. And so if previously ancient times there were much better, higher level of morality, and now there isn't at that level. And so, like to my point that I say that maybe the consequences are faced more now than we have seen in the past. But then to your counterpoint that you just made, in regards to the science advancement in medical, that actually debunks my own statement. So I appreciate you kind of debunking my own statement, because I think with that logic, that we are seeing less death in kids and pregnant women and in people overall with diseases. And if God wanted that to happen either way, it would have still happened either way, irrespective of the advancement in the science and medical.
Yeah. If you're,
I would say even your statement that we were more moral in the past than we are today, I would say even that's wrong. Because in the past, we believed that slavery was okay. In the past, we believed that debtors' prisons were a good idea. We believed that in all kinds of things that we just know aren't true anymore or aren't moral anymore. And we're becoming more empathetic, not less in most cases. I would say that, somehow or other we got it as politics. Anyway, I would just say that for the most part, we are more moral today than we were 100 years ago or 200 years ago. Just getting rid of slavery, just recognizing the horrors of war. Countries used to go to war because their leaders wanted more land or thought they had a claim to land they may or may not have. Rather than fight that claim out in the courts, they went to war over it. So we have less war today than we did 100 years ago, 500 years ago, or 1,000 years ago. So I would say that our morals continue to improve as we get to understand more and more about, the effects of things. So I'm not sure that even the case, I'm not sure you can make the case we're more moral 100 years ago than we are today.
Mm-hmm. Well, Shock, I think we had a good little back and forth. Yeah, hopefully we answered some stuff for you. But give us a call back in the future if you got any other questions, or if you go back, you rewatch this and you go like, you guys missed something. So we always love that, man. But thank you so much, and we're gonna drop you, and we're gonna go on to some other calls. Which, by the way, just as a reminder, folks, we do in fact have open lines. So if you've got thoughts, if you've got questions, just mean comments you want to make to us, just to our faces, like, go for it. I mean, I don't know. I probably shouldn't invite that, right? Like, this is on the internet. So let's see. I've got a couple of announcements I'm going to read to you real quick before we grab some other calls. Folks, Bat Cruise 2025 is coming up fast. I want to say it's like like 12, 13 days away, y'all. So not even 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks. August 16th is the date at 7 p.m. Tickets are selling quickly, so you got to get yours today. And you can join people like Henry K., Matthew T., and Joel H., who already got their tickets. So Henry, Matthew, Joel, thank you so much. And we are excited to have you there. Come up, say hi to us when you get there. If you are not able to attend, that is okay. You can still help out by donating underneath the live chat to purchase a ticket for one of our hosts or crew. That will go a long way for some really great people that have been donating quite a lot of time and are just having trouble just making ends meet and getting out. So if you want to help out, you can do so in that chat underneath the live chat right there with your donation. And you can visit tiny.cc/batcruise, get your tickets and all the information, and we will see you there, guys. That is going to be so freaking awesome. I was there last year, and I know it is going to be. So last year, if I remember correctly, there was a problem, and the boat was not able to actually take us out. We did still see bats. Bats were seen, folks. Yeah, a good time was had. We were on the river, but technically we just didn't get to actually do, underneath it and stuff. But look, let me just say something to you guys. Just think about this for 5 seconds, okay? There's like 1.5 million bats that are flying over your head. How directly underneath them do you want to be, right? I mean, just for a second there, like, what's the logic there, right? What happens? What's going to be, right? You see what I'm saying? Like,
they were sleeping and they're just now waking up. So they probably don't have full bellies at that point.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I know a lot of people, one of their first things in the morning. Anyway, so we've got other announcements and other calls, folks. If you want to get your calls in, get them in right now. And before you do anything else, just go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, enable notifications, and comment below on your favorite or least favorite caller, or favorite or least favorite host. I don't know. I'm probably not supposed to say that either, so don't do that. But I guess it's better than talking about bat poop, right? Like, so I don't know. As long as we don't sing. As long as we don't sing anything.
Raindrops keep falling.
No. Canceled. We're done. All right. Well, hopefully somebody else is having a great time, but I know we are. So we have some other calls, like I said, and we're gonna go right to them. But again, if you have questions for us, if you think we're just missing something, we're just destroying the fabric of society by being heathens and atheists, let us know. We love to hear that. But right now we are going to go out to Florida. We've got Patrick is an agnostic and any and all pronouns. And I'm just real quick, Patrick, because I know you can hear me. I'm not 100% positive what you're calling in about today. So we are just going to have you on and we're just going to see what you got. So, hey, Patrick, you're on with Secular Rarity and Jim Barrows.
Hey, just off the rip, some of this may be satirical, but I'm serious too at the same time. I would say
that's a little confusing.
More toward evidential agnostic. Can you hear me? I mean, they said don't say.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Just to be sure.
We're trying to figure out what an evidential agnostic is.
Yeah, go for that. I mean, I'm still on the satirical but serious, but yeah.
Well, can I read this out? I wrote this for y'all specifically today. 1 minute or less, I can rip right through this thing.
I will tell you this, Patrick. I have the ability to put a 60-second timer on the screen, and Jim and I will be quiet for that whole 60 seconds. But the moment that clock expires, we will jump right in. Does that sound good for you?
Okay. Back to the evidential agnostic later. Okay, hit it.
You're good. Go.
Did you hit it? Okay, the pronoun pandemonium primer, a guide for the utterly confused, like Jim Barrows in Secular Rarity. Greetings, Jim and SR. I'm thrilled to introduce you to the world of pronoun pandemonium, where language is a playground and pronouns are the swings. As an irrationalist, I'm about embracing absurdity, and my pronoun preferences are the epitome of the ridiculousness. The pronoun dance, when I'm feeling like a coding genius like Jim Barrows, who's actually a C++ expert for the experience. Anyway, I profoundly proclaim he, him in that case. I'm going to just skip ahead a little bit. But when I'm feeling like a mystical being channeling the essence of Secular Rarity's cool name, SR, you're a genius, by the way, I effortlessly shift to they, them. It's a recognition.
Do you care about any of this at all, SR?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure is the thing. I look, let me just real quick, Patrick, thank you for the very kind words for both of us. We greatly appreciate it. It almost sounds to me a little bit like what you're saying is that you feel fluid in maybe your gender presentation or your gender experience or your the preferred pronouns that you use depending on the day or time or how you feel. I just want to say, like, yeah, man, I'm all in favor of that. I appreciate anybody that wants to kind of navigate that squishy space and wants to kind of, you know, change as they see fit. I want people to feel comfortable in that capacity. I don't think it's a particularly onerous task for anybody to say something like, hey, these are my pronouns, right? Or, hey, I would prefer you use these pronouns, and then everybody just kind of follow along. So I think if that's where you're going, I think we kind of are all on the same page, and we can wrap that up. And if there was anything else you wanted to talk about, we could touch that.
Okay, I appreciate you. Yeah, I mean, I'm serious. It's kind of satirical, but I'm serious at the same time. You know, I technically, I guess I'm a member of the group, but like it's a little militant from myself. But like I'm an evidential agnostic, and what that means to me, I just follow the science, and you know, but like, you know, I like some of these, like, it's legitimate philosophy like pan-proto-psychism. That's very possible. Oracle theory on consciousness, that's a legitimate scientific theory. And some of these things that are unknown that atheists appear to just dismiss, like ridiculous, absurd. Einstein, you're absurd with the pantheism. Just like, you know, that I think he was an expert on his God, the universe. So if you're an expert, he was and still is the authority.
Are you? Let me try and help. Just get us somewhere as efficient as possible and as clear for everybody as possible. Are you saying that you think there are reasons to believe in a God, or are you saying there are reasons that we shouldn't categorically rule out the possibility of a God?
Yeah, I wouldn't. I'd say, I think, like, for me personally, what I see, I think it's basic psychology 101. Like Matt Dillahunty, for example, he was more in like a cult Christianity group, seems like. Then he turned hardcore atheist because of that. It's like a
that's a complete mischaracterization.
Yeah,
he wasn't in a cult. He was a mainstream Baptist or one of the mainstream Protestant religions. I don't remember off the top of my head. That's just a complete mischaracterization.
Well, hey, from my perspective, any Christianity is a cult. Yes, it's a cult. If you believe, honestly, that a guy was made out of clay and his wife was made out of his rib, that's a cult. I don't care how many people are following it.
Hang on, Patrick. First off, we're going a little bit we're going a little scattered right now, and I love to focus on as if at all possible. Hang on, it's okay. Patrick. You see how many times I can say that? I don't have to say that. I'm trying to be kind, okay? I can just fucking mute you. I can just mute you. I can just drop you. It takes 2 seconds on my end. I'm just trying to be kind and have a conversation with another adult human being, okay? So let's do that for a second. I'm gonna take a breath. It'd be great if you did the same. So here's what I want to do. I want to try to focus as much as possible, and I don't want to try to go over 12 different topics all at once, right? I'd love to just stick onto one thing. And specifically, I love to stick on the things in these types of shows where we disagree, so that we can kind of hash them out for each other and the audience, right? I just want to say real quick, and then we'll go to the thing that I think is most important. Just because somebody has beliefs that you disagree with doesn't mean they're in a cult. Just plain and simple. There are some really, really good data and some really good experts and research papers that are out there about what does define a group as a cult or high control, right? And I think that's really important. Generally speaking, the BITE, the BITE model, behavior, information, thought, and emotional control. Those are the methods that are used. So not all people that just go to a church on a Sunday are in a cult. But let's go to this: the evidential agnostic stuff. It sounds to me like that might be where Patrick. Hang on, just Patrick. Look, I can click this button. It takes all of 5 seconds for me. You're muted. There's nothing you can say right now. Let's not do this. Okay? We'll go back and forth. I'll say a quick thing. You'll say a quick thing. Easy peasy. Okay? So I'm going to unmute you. It's going to be a beep and we'll talk. So the evidential agnostic thing seems to be the place where we might have some disagreement. And I'd love to try and figure that out as much as possible. Okay? So are you saying that there is good reason to believe that a God exists? Or are you saying more, hey, we just can't categorically rule it out? Where do you sit on that?
I'd fit kind of probably in between the two.
Okay.
And, I was an agnostic since about age 8, so I lean towards agnostic as the base, and default position here.
Let me try it like this. Let me try it like this.
Like theism has. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So let me try it like this. If somebody said like, "Hey, a God exists that is actually this water bottle right here. And if you pray to this water bottle, it'll do absolutely everything that you ever ask of it. It's real. It's a God. This is what I believe in." I mean, you probably believe that this water bottle exists, but the rest of the statements you probably don't agree with, right?
What I would say in that case is that the finite thing is obviously a creation of humanity. We know that as a fact. Next. Now, does it cover all other things in existence? No. There's only one thing that covers all other things in existence. I wonder what that is.
What's that? Yeah. What's that? What's that one thing that covers all things? I'd love to.
Yeah. What do we call that?
Quantum mechanics?
Yeah, the universe, reality, existence. I don't know, man. Help me out, genuinely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Universe.
Yeah.
Okay.
The universe.
All right. I mean, I'm not.
It covers all things. It's not a water bottle. It's the source of an origin of everything else. MLE, matter, light, and energy, everything else that exists. I don't think a water bottle qualifies.
Okay. I'm not sure that the analogy was really taken in, but here's what I will say, Patrick. It does kind of sound like in general, you are on a similar page as where we are, in the sense of specifically like the Christian God. That doesn't seem to have any good reason whatsoever to believe in it. That seems kind of, although I'm just going to be real honest here, I'm not 100% positive what you were getting at with the call. But either way, I have the power and I just clicked the button, so I'm just going to move on. Thank you so much for calling us, Patrick. Jim, any thoughts you want to wrap up with that call? Or?
You were far more generous with him than I would have been, because I have no idea what he was talking about.
I was very confused for most of it. Yes. I will probably go back and watch that call and very much understand what I was thinking looking at my face the whole time. So anywho, good news is, folks, again, we still have open lines and you can get your calls in because we are taking them. We got call screeners. We got a wonderful crew hanging out in the back. They are always doing stuff. I'm not thanking you yet, crew. Don't go to the crew cam. Don't do it. I'm not thanking you just yet. I really shouldn't have yelled at them, but like, I knew if I said anything more about the crew without like telling them that, they would get ready and they would go to it. So, but yeah, I'm going to get yelled. I'm going to get yelled at so hard already. But anyway, folks, we have a channel that houses all of the shows of the ACA in audio podcast form. Visit tiny.cc/AEN podcast, and you can listen to all the latest shows from the Atheist Experience, Talk Heathen, Truth Wanted, and the Nonprofits, all on one channel. And in fact, I have heard rumors that on that channel, you can even find some older shows that have some really, really cool stuff on it too. So I've gone back and watched some old Secular Sexuality before, and that has some really good stuff in there. So if you guys got time, hit that. Now I guess we can thank that amazing, incredible, oh my gosh, they put up with me for some fucking reason. Nobody knows why, but we have a phenomenal crew behind the scenes that is always working very hard, just face palming repeatedly when I'm on and just desperate for me to finally shut up. But we've got video operators, audio operators, note takers, call screeners, chat moderators, people answering your emails. We have people at the Free Thought Library that are taking care of that, making sure that that is in good condition. And all volunteers, you guys. We got a bunch of volunteers here to giving a lot of their time, a lot of their efforts. So give them a shout out, just say thank you to them. Or just send $5. Like, that's a great way, like that's an awesome thing you could do. Yeah, you could just send a donation real quick. Like, when was the last time you sent a donation? That's what we're here for. So we have some other calls here, folks. But again, we do still have open lines. So if you want to get your calls in, man, do it earlier in the show, because you are going to get more chance for us to like talk with you and break stuff down. As we get closer to the end of the show, we got to be a little quicker. So we have a theist, Mike, no pronouns given, is from South Carolina and wants to talk about how atheists purposely do not want to understand the Bible. Well, hey, Mike, we are going to bring you on the Atheist Experience with Jim Barrows and Secular Rarity. What you got for us?
Hey, how are you guys doing today?
Good. How are you?
Doing good.
Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Oh,
sure can.
Good. I wasn't supposed to say can you hear me, but hey, I'm following up with Jim. Jim, we spoke a few weeks ago. I think it was the last time you were on. I'm not sure, but it was about it was really simple what we were talking about, and it turned into a half hour. Forrest was on, so there's going to be commentary, but nothing was resolved. And then we were trying to figure out what one word in the Bible was. It's love is patient, love is kind. We got to proud, and then Jim and Forrest were both like, we have no way of knowing what they mean by proud. It could be good pride, like you're proud of your kids or something. It could be bad pride, like you're boastful. Yep. There's no way to know. And I was like, well, yeah, sure there is. And you're like, nope, there's no way to know. And then that little bit got taken as Forrest is on the little thumbnail. It says clear as mud, the Bible. And it's like, yeah, well, you can.
Yeah, it's just a general statement that from that statement, you can't get any definite meaning. So yeah. I vaguely remember that conversation.
I don't, and I'm not positive, Mike, because I wasn't there, and I don't remember the call. But I would just say I don't think what Jim and Forrest were saying is that in all cases there's no way to know, but from this specific statement, it doesn't seem like there's much more information there. I would say there are definitely ways that we can get more information about what whoever the authors of various books of the Bible are, but I don't know that we'll ever get perfect information, right? I mean, that's not unreasonable.
Well, I don't mean by perfect information. I mean an understanding of what actually was being said. And yes, sometimes it's like, man, I don't know, like Revelations, I don't know what's going on. I don't know.
Sure.
But this one was like really clear. Like, love is patient. It was saying things that love isn't. It was listing, things like love is patient. That's good. Like it's kind. And it was things love isn't. It doesn't envy. It doesn't boast. And it said it is not proud. And they're like, I mean, just from it made me think what Jim and Forrest said. I was like, well, how do you know? I mean, you got to go back to context. You should look at different versions. King James. Mm-hmm. Jim didn't like King James, but you look at different versions of the Bible, and then you should look at the actual. Go back to in this case, the Greek.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jim.
What?
Sorry.
No, I was just agreeing with you. I still don't. To me, the King James Bible is the worst translated Bible of all of them. And again, you can look at just simple little things like wherever it says servant, you actually need to translate that as slave. They do some other things. Their point wasn't to be accurate. Their point was to make it more readable. And of course, it was written so long ago that we have a better understanding of the Greek of the time. It's horrible, and everybody swears by it, but really they should be swearing at it. So yeah. But anyway, in the love is patient, love is kind. That is so general as to absolutely be useless. What do you mean by love is patient? And are there times where the most loving thing you could do is to not be patient?
Sorry, say that again, Mike.
I prefer to stick just to this one word, proud, instead of branching off in other words, because we can't get this one word right. There's no help for any of us. But I mean, the proud, the Greek is to puff up, inflate, to be proud. And then Forrest said, well, what if my hand's puffed up? And I was like, oh, come on, guys. It's just like, you're
sure,
trying not to understand. So you can say it's not clear as mud or is clear as mud. So you don't have to do anything. Now you don't have to respond to it because it's like, it's all a mess.
If I can, Mike, because I think there's a deeper conversation that's trying to be had here, and I think that deeper conversation is actually more important than the specific definition of the Greek word for proud, right? And I think that's more important that we have that conversation, right? Because I think what you're getting at here is that there are times when, hey, it feels like y'all are bending over backwards not to give a point to the religious side, And look, hang on. Just going to take a big step back and say, yeah, fair. Yeah, probably there's some times that things like that happen, right? But overall, I would argue that if you look at the two sides, those that claim religious belief, those that follow the teachings of the Bible, whatever that means, and believe in its truth, those people largely seem to be the ones that don't really want to understand, is what I find. And if you disagree with that, let's talk about that. Let's try to hash that out, because I don't think the definition of this one word pride is going to do us much in the conversation.
Well, so the conversation, SR, was that it's so vague as to be meaningless.
Sure.
And I believe Mike was attempting to say, yes, it does have a meaning, and then kept agreeing with it could mean either a good type of pride or a bad type of pride. And I would say that even with the Greek definition of puffed up, that doesn't solve the problem of that entire phrase being so vague as to be useless. Because I think it's okay if you do something that for you is really, really rare, that doesn't happen very often, whatever it might be, you should feel puffed up about that. You should feel really good about that. You should take some pride in that. So it doesn't help at all, the definition, because you don't have anything else to go off of from that, from even the same author on something so vague as to be useless. So I don't think you've done yourself any favors by saying it means puffed up.
And I don't know where to go with this because it says puffed.
You go wherever the fuck you want, Mike. Take us on a journey, man.
And you're trying to slip in the good. I give up on Jim. The one I give up. If you go to the Greek and it says that, and you're like, well, but what if it's a good pride? Like, that's not what it's saying. It's puffed up means bad. And then Forrest said, well, what if your hand is puffed up? Does it mean that?
No. So how do you get to puffed up is bad?
The earlier point.
How do you get to pride as meaning puffed up is bad? How do you get there?
Puffed up usually means you're full of yourself, and then I don't know anybody that takes that and like, hey, that guy is so puffed up, it's so rocking. Nobody does. It means you're arrogant. They're equivalent. It's a physical.
No, I just gave you. I agree with you that it can mean that, but it could also mean that I am all puffed up about something that took me 6 months of working on, and I finally finished it. I also feel puffed up about that. I would also use that phrase puffed up for something that I have done that was really good, at least for me.
I don't recall anybody in my lifetime ever saying they were puffed up, meaning a good thing. They meant they did an accomplishment, and that's a different kind of pride. And I thought it looks to me like it's crystal clear. I don't know what to say here. I mean, stick with it, I guess.
Yeah,
we can't. So,
and I'm not saying you're wrong in your assumptions. You can certainly interpret it that way. But my point is that it's so vague as to be useless because it can go either way. Pardon?
That's not a good. I don't see any way to back that up with you bringing in the definition of a good pride, but good pride is never puffed up. Anybody else want to comment on this?
I would love to, Mike. And what I would love is if y'all two would just basically go, cool, and then just move the fuck on from this worthless conversation, in my opinion, because I think the more interesting conversation is not about this particular word and how the fuck it's being used in this one fucking instance, right? I think there is a broader conversation that needs to be had. And I think that is actually the crux of what you're trying to get at, which is, hey, there is actually some times where people don't seem to be willing to give points to the other side when they're pretty fucking clear, right? So let's talk about that. Where do you think that occurs? Please don't bring this one instance up again. Let's talk about something else, for God's sake. So where do you think that occurs, where you're seeing non-religious people actively attempting to distort the information and the evidence about the Bible?
There's another one that's much more important, and Forrest has a clip on it where he talks. It's Isaiah 45:7, and it's I form the light and create the darkness. I bring prosperity and create disaster. I, the Lord, do all these things. But there's a couple versions where they say I bring prosperity and create. I bring good and create evil. And then he's like, boom, there it is. God created evil. That's why this is important. Is because you can take. If God creates evil, I don't want to follow him. That doesn't sound
Do you
good.
feel like that is more of an issue? Because I know that specific point that you're talking about, Mike. And I'll just let you know, it gets under my skin too, because I know the interpretation. I understand why that passage is in Isaiah. I've listened to the ancient Near East scholars that have talked about that, and the way that it uses the word evil there, or chaos, or destruction, disaster, whatever the fucking, it doesn't matter, right? I get where you're coming from on that particular point, right? Here's what I want to ask though. do you feel like that issue is really something that's a problem with the non-religious side, or something that's more of a problem with the religious side?
I guess the religious side is like, wait a minute, our God's not evil. But then the other people, a lot of people just don't care about the Bible or think about it. But then Forrest was using it. He's weaponizing it as, hey, man.
Yeah, but Forrest isn't fucking here, man. Forrest is a great guy. He's very smart. He's got a lot of shit. Everybody loves him. Don't talk about him. Jim's here. I'm here. Let's the three of us talk, Mike. We're all adults. We're all smart people. Come on. We got this, man. If you got a problem with Forrest, call Forrest. You know, he's always down. Never had a bad day. So, look, it seems to me that when we try to do this textual criticism, when we try to break down the history, we try to understand the author's intent, more often than not, it seems that the information that is pretty damn clear is stuff that doesn't hold up the religious side of the argument, more so than not holding up the non-religious side. And between the two camps, my experience, and please tell me if you're experiencing different, Mike, my experience has been the religious people are more unlikely to be interested in that material. Do you think I'm wrong there?
Wow. I guess I can't speak for other people. It got me going because when I first heard that, God's evil, I was like, I better research this because this is a big deal. And then we got the proud thing with Jim, and and then I was like, well, if we can't agree on proud, then we can't agree on anything. And Jim saying there's servant and slave in the Bible, it's like, we can't agree on proud. How do you know it's servant? I mean, he loses credibility if he can't do that. I mean, there's just nothing to talk about in the Bible because the key phrases are like, nah, too vague. And it's like, really? You can't figure out which pride it is, the good pride you just can't figure it out.
Yeah, so you're misrepresenting my point. My point is that phrase or that whole piece of poetry is so vague as to be useless. I'm not saying the entire Bible is, and you're saying I'm saying that. That's putting words in my mouth and misrepresenting my position. I don't appreciate that. So when you need to make, and then we go and we show you this 45:7 where he says, I make peace and create evil. I don't know, that means he's not omnibenevolent. So how do you, what translation could you put to being, to God not being evil when he admits that he creates it?
Yeah, there's a couple versions that say he creates evil, and then most of them say he creates, calamity. And, calamity is what kind of, when you're in a crisis.
Calamity. We'll go with that one. Kind of how is creating calamity in line with being omnibenevolent?
I don't know. I can create calamity too. So I guess a lot of people can do it. I don't know what you're asking.
Are you omnibenevolent?
So do you know what the word, so do you believe that your God is omnibenevolent, all good?
Yeah, I would say yes, he is all good. Yeah.
Is creating calamity a good thing or a bad thing?
God can't do anything that's even a little bit irritating.
So is creating a calamity a good thing or a bad thing?
Bring out the best in somebody. Yeah.
But doesn't creating a calamity automatically mean that bad things are happening to people? But isn't creating a calamity meaning that bad things are happening to people?
Not necessarily.
But doesn't it mean that if you create a calamity, bad things are happening to people?
Uncomfortable things. I think bad is a poor choice of words.
Okay. What choice of words would you like?
Uncomfortable.
Okay, so calamity, the common usage of the word is an event causing great and often sudden damage or distress. So how does creating damage or distress a good thing if you're creating them to people?
That's what happens on a football field. You create damage and distress to the other team. You find out who's better. It's how you measure character is when
I don't think that's a fair response, Mike. Hang on,
Yeah,
Mike.
I would say it's not fair either because it's an event.
Right. As opposed to the literal like fabric of space-time being created by a being. Also, this is the route you're going down, by the way. Okay. I want to help flag this for you so you don't fall into this trap in a few seconds. Okay. But if you go down this route, what you're saying is that when you watch a child get murdered in front of you, you have to accept that is a good thing. Because it means that it is part of God's ultimate destiny and plan to bring out the best in humanity and all of that. And if what you're saying is that your God has to cause deep amounts of suffering and pain and shit constantly, that's a really shitty God and it's not omnibenevolent. So I'm just trying to help you out before you fall into that pit hole 5 seconds from now. So.
Okay. Well, that pit hole, the big precursor is has to. God doesn't have to do it. We're actually.
Yes, he does. If it happens, yes, he does. If he sanctions it, yes, he does.
All the crap that goes on.
Nope. It has to happen because God sanctioned it.
No.
Yeah, and just to use your analogy, just because we use, and I don't agree with any of this, but just we'll go with your analogy. Just because we use football to increase character and that playing football creates some sort of damage and distress on the human body, that's because we're limited beings. Your God is also omnipotent, is he not?
He is aware of everything. That's my understanding, yes.
Okay, so he has an option other than football to test people's character, does he not?
He's got your whole lifetime.
So the answer is yes. So this is the problem you have with the omnibenevolent, yes, omniscient, omnipotent God, is that you cannot square those three things with the way the world is today. You can't. You cannot have an omnibenevolent God because bad things happen to people. However you want to define bad, and I will leave that up to you. If you think bad things exist in the world, then that does not square with an omnibenevolent God who knows about it because he's omniscient and has the power to change it because he's omnipotent. You can't square those things. Your God cannot logically exist.
Okay. I disagree, and I'll tell you why. In heaven, none of this crap is going to go on, but here is where you're deciding if you want to be with God or not be with God. And our free will is what brings a lot of the crap into the world, and God doesn't have to do much of anything to test people do it.
So your God is only limited to doing things that affect free will, so he's not omnipotent.
And he's not omnibenevolent because he could have made heaven here, but chose not to.
Pull back and let us use free will.
So again, you are saying that your God is not omnipotent because the only option he has is to affect human beings' free will.
He is omnipotent. It's like an adult letting a child stand up and fall down, even though you could save that kid every time.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't.
No,
it isn't. I don't have the ability.
We're not omnipotent.
Yeah, I don't have the ability to do anything else. I don't have the ability to do anything else. I am a fallible mortal being. Also, if your God makes heaven and all of these problems don't exist there, then what you're saying is your God is not omnibenevolent. And what you're agreeing to is what I said just a second ago, the trap you fell right into, which is children being murdered in front of you. You have to celebrate that now by this line of logic, because it is the only way that God could give us an opportunity to choose to be with him with our free will under your understanding and then get into heaven. It makes your God look like a real schmuck, dude. And I don't think that's the God you believe
in. No, you're mischaracterizing it. You don't have to celebrate pain because we're not in heaven.
Yes, you do.
It doesn't make any sense. I don't even know what
you do in your understanding. You have to celebrate the pain and the suffering. You do in your understanding because without the pain and suffering, as small or as great, you never get to the good things. Only in your view Is that the case? If you slightly adjust your view, you don't have to deal with that. Most believers in God, most believers in the Christian God do not have to worry about this. But from the statements you have made today, Mike, you do. You have to celebrate the suffering. And I don't think you agree with that.
I don't agree with the suffering, but well, I mean, you're very mischaracterizing it. You don't
go back and watch.
Well,
I
no,
laid it out for you and you stepped
is,
right into it.
They hardly suffer at all.
You're arguing for a God that is omnipotent because you say he can't do anything that'll affect free will. And so you're limiting him to things that only affect free will, which is really, really bad and not good argument.
Jim,
and then you're saying that in heaven, none of this happens, except that the only way that could happen in heaven, according to you, is that God removes free will. Well, that doesn't make any sense because Satan made a choice to rebel against God. So free will exists in heaven. So no matter how you argue this, you get hung up on these three traits that you're trying to reconcile that cannot be reconciled. And you're arguing for a God that is less than the omni-God.
May I explain?
Go for it.
May I answer your question?
Go for it.
In heaven, it looks like there isn't going to be free will. Everybody's just going to do the right thing because we made our choice now. And I've made my choice.
So how did Satan rebel against God?
Something away from God's will.
How did Satan rebel against God if we have free will and everyone's going to make a choice to stay with God? Because that doesn't square now all of a sudden.
Okay, this is you maybe know this, maybe don't, but Satan and these angels and all this, they are different people. We actually have a part of God. We're like family, whereas the other ones are like magnificent created creatures. And then they made a choice. They don't get redeemed. We do. I don't quite understand that, but we are different from them. That we're actually like part of God in heaven, whereas they're creatures. They're magnificent. They're amazing. But
don't really feel like that helps.
God's family. We are.
It's just a claim, but even if it were true, I don't feel like it. Yeah.
Well, we're
doesn't help.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
I get that you're saying that, but that's just basically special pleading is what you're getting to. Like, so it doesn't matter. It's still a logical fallacy. It still doesn't address all of the numerous problems, again, that I explicitly tried to warn you about and said, hey, man, this is a problem. You then just brought up the possibility. So you said two things back to back, and I just want to point them out to you because they are, in fact, contradictory. The first thing that you said was, it seems like there is no free will in heaven. Well, if that's the case, that's a bigger problem for you. But then the next thing that you said, Mike, was we just all choose to do the right thing. So what you're saying is that there is actually free will, contradicting the first thing you said at the beginning of the statement. But then if there is free will and we just all choose to do the right thing, then your God's not omnibenevolent because he could have made a world like that from the beginning. And once again, the only way to accept the bad things in this universe, in your view that you've committed to, is to celebrate the bad things, because without them, we couldn't be better. That's the view you have expressed on this call multiple times. So, just saying.
Can I answer that as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely, Mike. Please.
We're waiting for you to do.
100%. Yes.
All right. By the way, these are really good questions.
Yeah, this is deep shit. I'm not.
This is really good. I'm not saying I have all the answers.
Me either.
Yeah, no, I've thought about this stuff a lot. What you're just saying is like, why didn't he just do it from the beginning? And the reason is that he didn't want robots who just automatically chose free will. He made it so that we'd have a time period where we get to choose: do we want to be with God or not be with God?
Let me ask you this question:
and then
how do you reconcile us having free will in heaven
same with the angels,
and not having free will here? And heaven, we're going to be making the right choices. What is the difference between making right choices now versus heaven? Why do we need pain and suffering and all the negative stuff happening now and not in heaven to make good choices?
we don't need pain to make good choice. We got off on a topic on that, but in heaven, yeah, it's like you're not going to have free will. You're just gonna want to do the right thing. But when you're choosing, we have free will now. Do you want to do the good things? Do you want to do God's will, or you want to do your will? That's what it really is. Who do you want to be in charge, you or God? And if you choose God, then he will seal you so that you don't sin anymore. And if not, then he's going to put you in a place where he doesn't have to see you anymore. And it's not going to be, apparently it's not fun. People say it's a party. Other people say not. I would say not, for hell. But it's where God doesn't have to deal with you anymore. And you don't have to deal with him. I mean, there's a lot of people that hate God.
So why can't he do that now? Why can't he just go, everybody make a choice? You can go with me, or you go that you take the door on the left and door on the right. Why can't he just do that now?
Well, I think he is. We're living our lifetimes and we're deciding. We're doing it right now.
Okay, so but you now you run back into the exact same question I asked earlier.
Yeah.
Why is he doing it now, and we don't have to do it when we're in heaven? And saying that we've already made the choice doesn't get you anywhere, because we could unchoose the choice in heaven just as easily as we do now. The free will still exists, right? Except in heaven, we don't have any pain to teach us. And apparently, according to you, because God creating calamity is a good thing, that's how he teaches.
Can be. Yeah, it's not always a good thing. I mean, gee, you don't need bad things all the time. You get good things. You're like, oh, I'm going to do more of that. That makes sense. You don't need calamity all the time, but he gets your attention with calamity. But then we cause calamity to each other too, and it's just meaningless too. Some pain is like, oh, that was worthless. You know, somebody shoots somebody. That was stupid.
Again, we are not omnipotent, omnibenevolent, omniscient beings. So anything we do is just what we expect, because we're not any of those three things. So the question isn't whether we do it. The question is why does one, God allow it, or two, as we've seen in the Bible from the Isaiah passage, he does it and he created it.
He doesn't create all calamities. Is that what you're saying? He creates some. He'll do it.
Well, that's what Isaiah says.
Yeah. God's allowed to get your attention sometimes. Sometimes you need to be at the bottom before you start thinking. I mean, life's great. I don't self-analyze very much.
Sure. Can I just ask a direct question, Mike? Because I just want to say this first off. I think you and I have spoken before. I think all three of us have had conversation before, and I gotta say I've really enjoyed the conversation at parts. And I think you are thinking about stuff. You are actively interested in digging into all the different interpretations and all the different history. I love the philosophy, love it all, man. But truly, I want to ask. Was anything in this conversation what actually led you to believe in the first place? Like, is any of this stuff that you went through before believing in God?
What made me, if you're talking about like calamity, I didn't really have a calamity. I was getting ready to graduate from college, and I spent my whole life, I got to focus, I got to study, I got to do this. Mm-hmm. And then I was there and I was like, now what? I'm just going to get a job and then retire. And I was
right.
Like,
so what I'm asking real quick to clarify, Mike, what I'm getting at is, did you have a period of time in your life where, without believing in a God, without accepting the Bible is true, not thinking that Jesus rose, all that shit, and sat down and went, man, you know what? Let me think about this for a second. We got to have free will here, because otherwise, like, how are we ever going to get better? And the fact that there's free will in heaven doesn't matter, because maybe there's not free will and God is omnibenevolent and all the... Did you do any of that? Was any of this part of the process of you actually coming to this belief? Yeah. What was that thing, man? What was that thing that made you start believing?
Yeah, we're in I just felt like life is meaningless. Like, even if you do everything right, it just wasn't satisfying. I was
sure. Yeah. Sure. Fine. That's that. I get that feeling, man. I've had that feeling. Other people have had that feeling. As human beings, apparently, at least from the period of time that we've been recording shit, apparently, we've all kind of had that feeling at least once or twice. Is having that feeling alone a good reason to accept that a God exists?
I don't think so.
Yeah, me either.
Just
Me either.
You're lonely, or you think life is empty, or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. What got me was when Jim's not going to like this, but when I started looking at the design of like the human body and respiratory system and everything, like all your arteries are actually tubes, and if they were just off and the tube was closed, you'd be dead. And I was like, come on, man, this is, I was an engineer. So this is all design. Somebody had to design this. You knew what they were doing.
Is it the complexity?
I was angry because I didn't want to believe in a God. I was like, this is crap. I don't believe in it.
Yeah. Is it the complexity of the design that you're saying because of how intricate it is? Like it has to be designed?
Well, it's the engineering.
No, hang on. That's a totally different. Hang on, Mike, listen to exactly what I'm saying. I know we're having a little bit of a delay and it's kind of hard, so I'm just going to keep rambling for a second. I think we're probably caught up now. So here's what I'm asking very explicitly. Is it because of the complex nature of the things you're looking at? You mentioned the human body. Is it the complexity that you see that makes you say it's designed? Because I have a follow-up. So just a real quick yes or no would be great.
Yeah, I mean, things can be complex, but like how you can breathe automatically, and then you can take a breath, and then...
Well, you can't breathe automatically because there's fluid in your lungs. So hang on, Mike. I'm going to mute you. I'm so sorry. I have tried desperately not to do that this whole time, but I don't want to have to wait. Because here's my follow-up, because I'm going to run through this again real quick. It seems to me like what you're saying is, yeah, kind of, the intricate and complex nature of the things that I'm looking at, like, for example, the human body, trees, snowflakes, all that shit. The complexity makes me get to the conclusion it must be designed. So here's my question. Look at this. This is a hair tie that I use. Pretty fucking simple. Is that designed? Are simple things designed? I'm going to unmute you. Are simple things designed?
Yeah. It depends on what it is. Like a snowflake is really complex, but it's not designed. So you can go both ways on that.
Well, okay. Now see,
that's
so hold up there.
Question.
Yeah, go ahead, Jim. Go ahead.
That's kind of my question is a Rube Goldberg design a good design or bad design? If it's a Rube Goldberg machine.
Well, Rube Goldberg, if it works, I guess it's a good design, but they always look so crappy. So that's a funny example.
Right, because what's going on with them that makes them look like that?
It's the mousetrap. Go ahead, Jim.
They're overly complex, right? They're entirely too complex.
Needlessly.
Right?
Okay.
So complexity is not necessarily a sign of design or even good design. But there is one thing that is almost always
I agree.
the sign of good engineering or good design. And that is it as simple as it possibly can and no simpler? And I don't think there's a single part of the human body where you can go, that's the case. You just look at the human eyeball. We have much simpler, better designs than the human eyeball. We've made them. So why has the human eyeball got this aqueous solution? It has low resolution. It has a tendency to see things that aren't really there. Why is it such an overly complex design compared to what we've made?
You understand there's like millions, or is it billions of nerve endings on the back of the eye? And they're all lined up and they all receive it. And they don't cross each other.
And it's still bad engineering.
I don't know what your point is.
It's still bad engineering.
Yeah, literally both of us have shitty vision. He's wearing glasses, I'm wearing contacts. Like we both have bad eyes.
Because the way the eye focuses is overly complex. Yes. The way the eye does everything is overly complex, right? All the chemical reactions. What's simpler? A camera or the camera on my iPhone or the human eyeball? What's simpler?
I would say that your camera can't repair itself, so the human eyeball is more complex.
The human eyeball repairs itself? Really? It repairs itself?
Not super well, right?
I'm wearing glasses, dude.
My
Tell me
eyesight
something
keeps
funny.
getting worse. Look, I think, look.
Does the retina detach? Yes, it does. Does it ever heal itself? In some cases, yes.
Sure. But you can get cataracts.
But that doesn't answer the question. What is simpler, the human eyeball or the camera on my iPhone?
The camera on your iPhone can't repair itself, so it can't do the same things as the human eyeball.
That's not an answer to the question.
Yeah, but
I'm asking what's simpler. I'm not asking about self-repair capabilities. I'm asking about what is simpler.
As far as less molecules, because they don't do the same thing.
Hang on.
Yes, they do. They both receive light and interpret it.
Yeah. Let's look. We've been going at this for almost 40 minutes, Mike. Let's put this on pause and we'll pick it up another time when you call back in. Because again, I think this has been a largely good call, and I think there's a lot more stuff that we've already been going for about 40 minutes. I don't want us to get to a place where, we're just kind of rambling about silliness here. There's a lot of good stuff. There's a lot of stuff to go back. I will tell you this, man. I do this, okay? Especially in calls where I get off of them and I'm like, man, they weren't fucking listening to me, Like, I'll go back and I'll rewatch it and I'll listen to everything that everybody says and try to go, oh, okay, wait, I did say that thing wrong, Because I do. I say stuff wrong all the time. I think I said something wrong in the last call. I just mixed up a word or two, Most people probably knew what the fuck I was talking about, but technically I said something wrong. So, anywho, I suggest take a second, give it a couple of days, go back, watch it, give us a call next time you see us on, because, I think this is a pretty good call. I think you're a pretty good interlocutor, Mike. So I'm going to drop you real fast, and I'm so sorry it's going to be rude and abrupt, and you probably will cut you off, and I'm very, very sorry about that. But again, we were going pretty good there. We had about 40 minutes. I thought we had a good kind of back and forth, and we were kind of able to make some progress. So I am always.
I just think it's really. I always think it's kind of funny that every time an atheist and any omnibenevolent, tri-omni God believer get into a conversation, we always end up arguing for the omni God. Right. And they end up arguing for the less than omni God. It's funny the way that always works out.
Yeah. I know. I've heard people say atheists are more fundamental than most of the believers, because we're so like, no, this is what the Quran says. Like, this is, But I get it, man. I get it. In fairness, though, again, honestly, time after time, y'all, when we do polls, we find the believers of a religion and the critics of the religion. Between the two, the second group is the one that's actually read most of the documentation for the religion. So, that's just an interesting statistic. Don't know if there's causation, but there sure is correlation. So we are gonna go out to Massachusetts. We are gonna talk to Casey. Him is an atheist. Wants to talk to us. Says that they're a bit of a new atheist. So hey, we are gonna bring you on, Casey. You are chatting with Secular Rarity and Jim Barrows. What's up?
Oh, glad. How are you guys doing? So
Good.
I have a question. Is a little bit complicated, but I'm going to try to make it quick so you guys could understand a little background. 26 years being Muslim, joined the army, and then couldn't go to the mosque, so I went to a rabbi, and he converted me to atheist, believe it or not, just because he said that maybe Islam copied from Judaism. So that
I love this.
Me, and long story short, I became Muslim, became an atheist. But my issue is that when I was 14 years old, one of my best friends became blind. So there is a hadith from Muhammad saying that anyone that is blind, becomes blind and suffers through his life, is guaranteed paradise. Mm-hmm. So I had a friend who was atheist but blind. I turned him Muslim by this. So he he got he wanted to commit suicide. So giving him this
terrible.
gave him hope.
Sure.
At 14, nothing more I could give. So, so now when I tell him that I'm atheist and I give him proof and stuff, what I did all my homework. He thinks that I'm trying to steal paradise from him. So it's hard for me to communicate. He's just trying to cut me off because of this. So it's a hard situation.
Well,
I don't want to steal anything from him. I just reach out.
Yeah, totally understand. And first off, Casey, I just want to say this real quick.
Yes, sorry, you are on mute, by the way.
Am I? Are you sure? I don't think so. Can you hear me?
You're still on mute.
I don't think so. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, we have no idea what's going on thus far. But anyway,
No, I can hear you.
So, yeah, I would say, do you think that if you were to deconvert him back to atheism, that he would be suicidal again?
I'm not even trying to make him an atheist. I'm just giving him my motive, like why I became atheist. But it looks like because Islam, I don't know if you guys have much knowledge. It gives you this that you cannot doubt. Like if you doubt, then you're a kafir. So he doesn't even want to entertain that thought. So
yeah. So let me just say this first off, Casey.
So
super easy. Hang on, Jim. Hold up,
do
Jim.
You think that if
Jim,
you
Jim,
continue
Jim,
doing
Jim,
this,
Jim,
that you will?
Jim, it's on your end. Just pause for 5 seconds. It's okay. Just pause for 5 seconds. So Casey, first off, I just want to say this. I appreciate that in your friend's time of need that you were there for them. Okay. You should not in any way, shape, or form feel bad about that. Yeah. Right. That is a very good thing. Okay. Second off, from that, I will then just say there are also a lot of secular options and a lot of non-religious things for any future times. If you happen to find yourself in that situation, there are a lot of non-religious things that you can do that could help that individual, right? So that you don't have to give them that religion. Okay. Just for future sake. Now, real quick, man, I know this ain't going to fill that hole or anything, but let me tell you this. Brother, you're not at fault. Like you don't need to be beating yourself up over the fact that you turned your buddy a believer when you were a believer. Dude, we've all done that. Every single one of us that was a believer. Yeah. We all turned shit ton. Do you know how many people Seth Andrews fucking convinced when he was on Christian radio for a decade and a half? A lot, you know? Yeah. So that happens. Don't worry about all that. Give yourself a little bit of grace on all that, okay? At the very least, give yourself a little bit of grace on all that. You were there for a friend in a meaningful time, and that is the most important thing.
So what hurts me the most is because I lost a friend with, he was diagnosed with cancer, and he cut me off when he knew that I was atheist. And it was hard to watch him die, and I couldn't talk or be for him the last few months. So this is kind of like a deja vu, but different situation, but kind of similar. So losing a friend, more like I'm not trying to convert. I'm just feel like I lost him. You know, like I lost my other friend.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that. Yeah, I totally understand that. And what I would say when it comes to trying to continue these conversations, right? One of the biggest things, a close buddy of mine, you know, he said this when he first came out as non-religious. He was hot. He was hot and heavy, and he was going after fucking anybody, man. And he wasn't pulling punches. I mean, he was swinging, man. That resulted, obviously, in some very difficult and tense conversations with some people that he really, really cares about. And he had to, at one point, take a big step back and go, hang on, wait a second. What is the most important thing to me in this moment? Is the most important thing to me in this moment being fucking right and dominating this stupid, weak-minded, like, is that what's the most important thing to me? Or is the most important thing to me my friend in front of me, right? My coworker, my neighbor, my mother, my partner. Is that what's more important to me? And if it is the first one, well, then honestly, Casey, I don't think you really need any help in that. I think you know exactly what to do. Like, if you want to dominate, motherfucker, go out there, read the books, listen to the philosophy, and listen to the experts. And, you know, hell yeah, you can go out there and be an asshole all the time, of course, you know? If what you care about is the connection that you're having with that person, that's harder. So.
Right. Yeah. The connection one, but also, like the way I see it now is him being blind and banging his head 5 times a day and spending most of his time in mosque for something that, like, I know he's blind, but he can enjoy life in different ways.
Absolutely.
Being blind and getting stuck in the mosque. So that's what hurts me and cutting me off, you know, like.
Yeah. And that's the hard part. And
but anyway,
you know, that's probably the part of the relationship you need to work on repairing. Because again, if the most important thing about you is your relationship with your friend, then your atheism has to take a back seat. And no, religious people don't do that. And we as atheists have to do that probably more often if we want to keep our relationships. But this is the problem with dealing with religious folks. Is you know, and yeah, it's probably worse in you know, with Muslims than it is most Christians. A lot of Christians tend to be more liberal along those lines, but there are those that are not. And so that becomes a question. I mean, we know fairly famous atheists who have had to cut their parents off and have no contact with their parents because they can't go there. And that's unfortunate for their parents. We know other atheists whose parents have cut them off, and cut their own child off. So, you know, that's kind of where you're at, I think, is you need to go figure out how to repair the relationship and just let him do what he's going to do and, you know, enjoy being his friend. And it sucks.
I understand. It sucks. I appreciate it. Yes. It just, as I said, I felt feeling guilty for something that I thought was right at the time. But now that I see him from distance, being blind and getting stuck, wasting, in my opinion, his life, his moments. But yeah, it's
his life. Ultimately, your opinion of what he's doing with it doesn't matter.
Yeah, right. He gets to make his decisions. And honestly, just like, you know, look, Casey, there may be a time in the future from now. We don't know. There may be a time in the future you convert, you know, you convert back to Islam, you join Hinduism, whatever, man. I mean, it's possible that you'll regret some of the actions that you've done now in terms of leading people away from the faith. All you can do is the best you can with the knowledge that you have. And just like Maya Angelou says, when you know better, you do better, you know? And until then, all we can do is try to do the best that we freaking can right now. And I think it sounds to me like I think you're on that right track. I'll offer this as a potential for maybe something else to dig into the future if you'd like. There's this really cool book by this guy named David McCraney. It's called How Minds Change. And it's about the way that we engage with people and what methods are effective and what methods aren't. So maybe that's something you guys could read together, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, thank you so much, Casey, for calling into us. We greatly appreciate you, and I'm just going to drop you like a hot rock. I'm so sorry if I cut you off. Yeah, you too, man. Thank you so much. I always end up cutting people off at the end. I never mean to do it purposefully, folks. It's totally accidental. But we are near the end, and so before we wrap up, you know, Jim and I we gotta have a little. What'd you think? Was it all right? What was your favorite part?
Yeah,
favorite part?
Oh, we had some good conversations. Our conversation with pronoun dude
it was a little odd.
Was a complete way.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there, honestly. I feel like something was said by at least somebody, But what exactly that was, I don't know. But the good news is, Jim, is that you and I are not here alone. In fact, every week there is a wonderful volunteer that will hang out and make sure, just in case the shit hits the fan, that they can hop on. And today's wonderful backup host is none other than the man himself, Mr. Kelly Laughlin. And Kelly,
hey, Kelly,
thank you so much for being... That you are our resident Patrick interpreter today. Can you help us out? What were you? I know you take extensive notes, but
you know what, my big problem with him was that it seemed like every time you guys came up with an answer to his problems, they either ignored you or would just change the topic, right?
Yeah.
It was like just getting nowhere with him. I felt like you were just banging your heads against the wall. So I do want to say something to Casey, though, if I could take out a minute. Casey, don't dwell on the past. It's not about whether or not what you did was right or wrong. What it's really about is if you can do better every single day. And that's what really counts. And I think by the way you were talking when you called here, I think you're already on that path. So you're doing the right thing. Keep it up.
Agreed. And I think that is a phenomenal sentiment for us to head out on, folks. It is Sunday. It is getting into the evening, my time. So if it's that time for you, go relax, go have fun. If you're ready to start your day, go do that. But whatever you're doing, remember that Jesus did die on the cross for your sins. So make sure you do a few of them for us. But thank you so much, Kelly, for hanging out in the back with us. You're always great. Jim, it is always so much freaking fun to be hanging out and chatting with you. We're all going to be at the Bat Cruise here, right? Is that the case?
Oh, I'm not.
You're not. Jim
I'm
is
not
not
planning on going. Yeah.
That's okay, man. That's okay. You were there. You weren't there long ago. We saw
2
each
years
other
ago.
too.
I saw you. Yeah.
Well,
I am the party king. So if you want to come
right.
and party with the king, be on the Bat Cruise.
That's right, folks. And if you need tickets for that, it's very easy. tiny.cc/ACA Bat Cruise. There are still tickets available. You don't have much time left, but you got to get the fuck out of here because we're leaving. Next Sunday at 4:30 p.m. We'll be right here. Until then, see ya.
What will it take for you to start opening your eyes, to start questioning the bullshit?
I think we got through like at least 6 minutes before we talked about bat poop, right? Okay. 5:53. That's not 7 seconds. That's not bad. Okay. Hard 6 minutes. Okay, next time, don't bring up bat poop until 6 minutes into the broadcast. Got it.
Watch Talk Heathen live Sundays at 1 p.m. Central. Visit tiny.cc/YTTH and call into the show at 512-991-9242 or connect to the show online at tiny.cc/callth.